Oh, dang. What's up, world? Is this thing on? Yeah? Let's do the damn thing. What's going on, World Corona Chronicles? David Sterling Reed. I got one of my good friends here from Italy. What's up, Davide? Give a little
Hello.
introduction. How you doing? What you
Yeah.
doing? Where are you from?
Okay. I am Davide Coleman. I live in Italy, right in the north of Italy, in a little town called Appiano Gentile between Como and Milano. Yeah, I'm just finished studying, and these days actually I'm playing music and bringing on some projects, and because I'm not working since a couple of weeks, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, not working like the rest of us, I guess. That's the quarantine
Yeah,
life. Quarantine life. It's good you're staying busy though. Um,
yeah.
So what happened? The world was kind of looking at China first, we all were, and then perception kind of changed. And to be honest, America, everyone started to look at Italy because there were some crazy things happening. So what was kind of the changes of events? What was the progression like from when we all, because you guys were probably in the same boat looking at China like, wow, this is crazy. Look what's happening to China. And then how did everything kind of change when it came to Italy? I mean, things must have changed.
Well, actually, in my opinion, when all of this started, was not such a big thing. I mean, we were looking at China and we're like, okay, it's just China. It's like these things. It's um, always somewhere else problem.
Mhm.
But slowly we had the first cases, and still, because I have to admit, I was one of those people. Um, we were saying, well, it's just it's like 0.8%. It's not that much. It's a bit more than a flu, and blah blah blah. Like keep on talking, and day by day the numbers were rising. At at one point, the government decided to shut down, first, like after first spreading in some towns in the north of Italy. They closed those towns, and then later on they decided, after a couple of weeks, I guess, they decided to lock down the entire north of Italy, so including my region actually. I think one bad things that happened, somehow the notice, um, of these things, the governor was going to do this, happens, that someone released that news the night before this thing happened. And so it happened that a lot, like really, it was some videos of people running at the train stations, doing to take trains to go to the south, to leave the red zone, and like a mass panic. I don't know how to call it. And people started moving from the south, and all of those people, those mass people, stipulated on a train, just were bringing the virus straight through the south as well.
So what was going on?
And
Like they said it leaked that the government was going to put regulations on the north, and then when was that? Was that a couple
so,
how many
well,
cases did you
actually,
have or something before that happened, and then
so
people just jumped on the train and started going south, to get away from it, kind of like running?
yeah, it happens like I was around the 10th of March, I guess. I'm not sure about that.
And
It was more or less
when was the first case, do you know?
well, the first case was in the 20, more or less the 21st of February.
Okay.
And since that point, the government start like slowly rising up and intensify the lockdown things.
Quarantine kind
uh,
of thing. Yeah.
like the restrictions were getting stronger and stronger since then, but always um, slowlier than the virus. So it's like, okay, we got 1,000 cases, and so we do this and that. Oh shit, it's 100 cases more, 1,000 cases more. Okay, let's do this. Well, after 1 week they doubled, so let's do these things a little bit more. Okay, let's close this town, let's close that town, then let's close the north, and then let's close. The president, he closed the entire Italy something like 2 days after he decided to close the north. So basically, all of those people that mass exodus of people from the north to the south was completely useless.
They were just bringing
Uh,
it from the north to the south kind of thing.
yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
And so those regulations kind of started, and when did the general public start to take it seriously? Because were they looking at it like China, oh, it's not going to come here, it's only in China, they're the Chinese go again, they're the Chinese go again with these crazy things like the first SARS or whatever. And then when did it kind of hit home? I mean, when did people start to say, shit,
I
it's here,
remember
you know?
I I remember, like, I give my personal opinion of that. I remember the first day, the president, the prime minister Conte, decided to lock down the north of Italy. I was having a dinner with friends, and we discovered that notice. I remember I was looking in my friend's eyes. We were all like, "The hell is going on?" I think that in that moment I just realized the how big this thing was. Um, yeah. Then in the next days, I remember, because there was a bit of confusion between what you are allowed, what you're not allowed, and what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do.
Right.
In the beginning, because itself, the law, the paper they've written with all the new rules and stuff was pretty unclear under a lot of aspects. And for example, like outdoor activities, I remember the first days of lockdown, people were, I mean, I went out, it was a really nice sunny day, first spring days here, perfect day to go out. I went out to have a walk. It was full of people walking around and stuff on one of those first days in my
when
hometown.
when was that? Is that like that was like in the middle
I
of March or
guess
something?
should be like around the 12th of March, more or less.
Yeah.
12th.
And for a little
Yeah.
perspective, I mean, that was only 2 weeks ago, you
Yeah.
know? So
Yeah.
this kind of thing, I guess, spread quickly. I mean, to be honest, we're kind of in that stage. So the president passed something called the Sanford Act. And he kind of said, like, the government stepping back a little bit. We're going to let each individual state and each individual city handle their own regulations the best that they see fit for their city. Because as you know, I mean, New York is different than Los Angeles, which is a lot different than Idaho, for example.
Yeah.
So everyone kind of had their own regulations on their city, and now it's more ambiguous than ever. We don't really know. We're not sure if we're supposed to stay inside, if we can get in trouble for going outside.
Yeah.
There's some
You don't
places
know
in,
it, right?
yeah, I mean, at the moment we're not sure
It's
because
confusing.
we're looking it's really confusing.
Yeah.
We're looking at the president for answers, so we're like, what are we supposed to do? And he's like, I don't know, go ask your city or go ask your state. And we're like, okay, hey, California, what are we supposed to do? I don't know. Go ask your governor of Los Angeles. We're like, what the heck, man? Who are we supposed to talk to here?
But
But
here, yeah, no, no, go on.
no, but
Sorry.
some people just we're not sure. So they say inside. They say keep social distancing, and I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure that there's gonna be really tight regulations. I know somebody. I heard a rumor that somebody got a ticket out in Marietta for hanging out in a group of 3 people. So they got a fine. I'm not sure how much it is, but someone told me that happened to a friend of theirs. And so I think that the police are told to enforce something, but I don't think that it's not like they say you can't do it and you're in trouble if you do. It's kind of like you shouldn't do it. And if you do, we could possibly get you in trouble. It's not to the point of like, if you do this, if we see you, you're fucked. It's not like that yet. But I mean, that's how it is now with my friends in Spain. That's how it is. And in France, it's the same thing. If they catch you outside without a reason, immediately it's a ticket. In Spain, they just got uh, my friend's brother's a cop, and he went out and gave someone a 600 euro fine for smoking a cigarette with his friend on the street.
yeah.
So I mean,
Here you hear about people like they're giving ticket, but was like in the beginning, I told you there's this kind of paper they released, and it's an self justification. Is it right to say it like that?
self
So there's,
justification, yeah.
yeah, there's like this paper, this model of paper in which you have to put myself called Davide Coleman, blah blah blah. I'm declaring that I'm going out for this, and that reason. So you're actually saying that you have to go around with this paper saying that you are going around because you have to buy food, for example, you have to do something really important. But um,
And you
it's
just
like,
you print this up online before you go out or
yeah,
something? Huh.
you're supposed to, but some other people in the beginning were saying that police was giving that to you. In fact, in the end, there's like you have to put your sign, and then the policeman who stopped you is putting the sign.
Oh, so only if they catch you, they gave it to you, kind of thing.
But now it's becoming quite a funny because we reached the fourth version of this self-declaration model. So it was like first one, then the week after, like after 4 or 5 days, says, okay, this is the new model, including this part. Then after 4 or 5 days, was like, this is the third model. Now you have to use this one, and now we have the fourth one. Like,
Sounds like the police should just carry the latest one on them at all times, so you guys don't have to worry
also,
about it.
yeah, also the laws are running, are like like changing all the time because in the beginning I said it was general stuff. I think probably because of the rushing in doing that for the necessity to do laws for this reason, they did something quite general. So, for example, 2 weeks ago, like it was not actually you were allowed to doing outdoor sports. So in my first days of quarantine, I was running in the woods uh, because I mean, it's something that you should take the responsibility of that because I know that if I'm going like right in front of home, I can send you a picture later. There's like a bunch of trees. There starts the woods. I'm going in there and I'm not meeting anyone. For the I can do 10 kilometers running and I'm not meeting anybody.
Right.
But then it started this sort of witch hunting against runners on the social media. Man, it was crazy. Like um, I like myself and others, like the runners in general, just became like the world's like untori we call them. It's like the people during the Black Death going around with the oil to spread the virus on purpose, you know?
So they like hunted you
And
guys through the woods. They followed you and or waited for you at the exit and stuff like that.
yeah, I remember I had a pretty bad fight with a friend of mine because I was going to the supermarket to do shops because people were quite stressed out in those days, I have to say. I went there, and then as at the entrance of the supermarket, there was a bunch of people, like pretty a lot of people all together. I was walking, so I said, okay, I'm just going above, walk through the park, and then I come back to see if there's less people there, because it's better just simply. It's quite simple. So I
Yeah.
went to the park. I looked inside the park. I saw that was no one there. So I went inside the park. I did an Instagram story, like to just to show people no one was around, and
Nice.
people attacked me for that. It's like, oh, you're going to the park, you should stay at home, you idiot, stuff like that. I was like, I tried to explain, well, I was in the park because in the way to the supermarket, I met too many people. So I went here just to wait a little bit of time
Hmm.
and go there later when there's less people.
Plus, I mean, it makes sense to go to the park. There's not many people. And then plus when you have, out in the sun and all that stuff, it's supposed to kill the virus relatively quickly. So it's not like you're going to even find any of the virus in the park realistically. Whereas if you wait in a grocery store line and people are coughing and it gets on the ground and then you step on it with your shoes and then you bring it home, this kind of thing could possibly be bad. I like the witch hunt though. That's pretty funny. Um, so as far as the progression with the government goes, a friend of mine wanted to ask, like, is it the same for you guys as it is for us as far as small businesses closing, um,
Yeah.
restaurants closing, bars closing? Can you guys still get your wine that you like to drink, or is that kind of you can't go have a glass of wine anymore at a restaurant and all those things are shut down?
No, well, actually, a lot of small activities like restaurants, in the beginning, they were allowed to stay open until 6 p.m.
Hmm.
But then many of them, especially in my hometown, decided to close anyway or start doing takeaway because it was not making so much sense to. It was more a waste of money because no one was going there after a while. But then another problem, like I was telling, because people was attacking people going running in the woods, because the one of those laws in the beginning they were allowing big fabrics and activity to keep on making their employer work even if they don't have a secure, like a safe method to let the workers work. And
You're
that,
talking about manual labor jobs like textiles, stuff like that, or manufacturing, as in like big facility manufacturing of goods and services. Yeah,
so a lot of people got sick because they were simply working inside
a big
yeah,
factory or something.
manufacturing, like big factory and stuff
Right.
like that. And it took since they stopped it took like, I don't know, 1 week and a half. I don't remember exactly the days, but it took a lot of time to make the government stop this thing. You know?
Yeah, I think this kind of thing most people didn't realize kind of the significance, and even to this day, it's in America they're not sure how significant it is. My friend messaged me last night, and he says, "Wow, you're really getting after this coronavirus thing, huh?" Like implying that it's not really
Yeah.
that big of a deal. And I'm like, and I told him, we don't see it yet. We don't see it yet, and maybe they don't see it as well as I do. but I have a brother who's a virologist that I did the interview with 2 days ago, and I have friends like you, Davide, and my friends in Spain, in France, in Germany. So I see it, and I have friends even in China that were locked down for forever. And China's a bit different than we were, or were able to be, and the same as Italy. They're a lot different than that. We talked about that before a few days ago. It's like China when they say people are suspicious, right? They say, "Oh, this conspiracy stuff. Like, did China start the virus? Did they do it on purpose? Did they do it to mess
Yeah,
up the global economy?" These kinds of things. And I'm not saying they didn't, and I'm not saying they did. I don't know, but I'm just saying the way that they're able to respond to a global outbreak is much different than we are.
yeah,
We have to jump through all the hoops. We have to make sure everything's right, even implementing drugs and stuff like that. And we're trying to get as Mike said the other day, he's trying to get this laser that's really, the laser is going to Mars. It's going to it's been proven to work. It's going up to Mars on the new NASA rover next year. So this laser is like specifically for detection, and even getting this thing into hospitals just to get samples. They're like, you have to
yeah.
jump through hoops, you have to go through paperwork. It's going to take months just to get it in there. It's like, man, what the heck? Whereas China's like, oh, you got that instrument? Cool. Let's try it out. Like to bring it in here. Let's try it out. Or when they say, hey, you can't go outside, you know what that means? You can't go outside. Like they'll come to your house and I mean, I don't know how true these stories are, but there are stories of them coming to the house and like welding doors shut and then like dropping off food, unwelding them, putting food inside, and then opening them back up. So I'm not sure how true that is, but
Well,
they're able to stop stuff a lot quicker than we are because they could just say, look, no. Whereas us, it's like, the freedom of speech, freedom of walking, all this stuff that comes with the democracy. That's amazing. But as far as like containment goes, we got a lot of regulations and stuff to jump through, as I'm sure Italy does, which is why once it made it to these bigger third world free, as we say, countries, it became a little bit harder for us to quarantine and control the spread of a virus like this.
yeah, but I guess we are in a point in which, because places like China have a really less regulation on privacy laws and stuff. So the government actually can really stay more in the private life of
Hmm.
its citizens,
Right.
and they control it better. So we are in a point in which we have to demonstrate that we deserve this democracy that we have right now,
Like we have to earn
because
it,
like
you mean?
we have to earn it, yeah. Because in China they can just use like all of those cameras they have all around the city to face recognition the citizens, and then
Yeah.
all is interconnected with phone apps and stuff. So you get like a red label if you have been for more than 5 minutes behind someone else which is infected, and in that case then you can't move from home at all for like I don't know how many days. I mean, for sure it's not surely like that, but it's more or less like this, how it's working in China right now.
Well, yeah, I heard
They really, yeah,
that's how the first kind of suspicion of this virus being transmitted through just breathing was China had the face recognition software on the bus and on every kind of outside everywhere. They have it everywhere, right? So they tracked somebody who was known to be in contact with somebody who had the virus, and he ended up going to the hospital like 2 days after this face recognition stuff tracked him. And he went on a bus, walked through the center aisle of the bus, sat in the back seat, contaminated the two people sitting in the back seat. But then they realized that someone that he passed on the way to the back ended up getting the virus and going to the hospital 5 days later. So they were the first ones to speculate on this, that you don't have to necessarily spread the virus through these particulates in the air. You could actually spread it just by breathing on somebody.
yeah,
And yeah, so they have this kind of invasion. And I was talking to my mom actually about this not too long ago. it's quite incredible how strong of a government they are with their people. Like if they
Yeah,
say no to doing something, you will never see someone on Facebook or whatever their Facebook is.
that's true.
You'll never see someone going on saying, "Oh, this is bullshit. Hey, the government's so stupid. I can't believe they're doing this. This is ridiculous." Because if I'm assuming if they did something like this, they'll have a knock at their door in 2 hours and they'll be in trouble, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, they
And this is the
when they
type
say
of,
no, it's no,
but
you know?
yeah, but the point is, uh, do we really want a type of government like that? Because this is for sure is helping to stop the spreading.
Yeah.
So if we don't want something like that, we have to demonstrate that we can stop the virus just with self consciousness
Mhm.
and responsibility.
Right.
Yeah,
That's why I'm so happy that you came on to talk to me actually, because that's we in America are a few weeks behind Italy and Europe as far as the true effects and damage of the virus. And so I really am trying to get this information out as quick as possible. I mean, I'm doing 3 of these per week just so I can make sure that everyone is informed
yeah,
about what's going on, because this isn't a time in the world to separate and point fingers. We can all point fingers at China, point fingers at whoever brought it here, point fingers at the person next to us for getting us sick, or point fingers at our friends. We could do that, but now is not a time for separation. We need unity now more than ever, and we need to stick by our fellow people, and not just people in our
yeah.
country, but everyone around the world. So I'm really happy that you came on here and at least you're giving
I'll tell you
us
more.
your
This is
opinion.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you for hosting, man. Well, I have something like okay here. It's we what we call the patient one was actually not really the patient one. Was because
It's hard to find out that fact, you know, who
yeah,
really was the
yeah, that's the point. And the virus were spreading here way much before uh, what in the beginning we thought was the beginning of the plague. Can I call it like that?
the what? What'd you say?
The plague?
The plug.
No? Yeah,
What do you mean?
yeah. The spreading of the virus because like we had some anomalous cases of pneumonia since between December and January.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the number rose up more than the normal numbers. Okay, so in a lot of places, I heard there was this suspicious like anomalous pneumonia. They were just calling like that, but no one even thought well it could have been the coronavirus from China. But I'm almost sure it was. You know what I mean? Because
Did Italy actually point and say this is case one? This guy was case one?
yeah, we have a guy that we call the the patient one,
Did he
but
recover?
he just went out from the hospital, I guess, 1 or 2 days ago,
So he
or maybe
recovered.
he's innocent. Yeah, he recovered.
How could they do this to somebody? Like say you are the case
Oh no
one.
no 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 no! No. Wait! No one knows his name. No no no
Oh,
one knows his
I was gonna
name.
say this guy, man, he's not
No
gonna
no
be able to
no no
get a
no.
job. He's not gonna. They're not gonna feed him. They're not gonna let him sit down for
Call it,
dinner.
we call it the patient. No no, we just call it the patient one,
Oh
just
my
because
gosh, good. Oof.
you're
Can
not
you
allowed to
imagine?
know his name. Okay,
Okay, good.
so the point is, this guy was the first guy who was found positive, like on a SARS stuff related to the coronavirus,
Right.
and yeah, it was in this little town, 1,000 kilometers from here, And since then, things are changed a lot. I mean,
So is the
now,
government helping? Is the government helping you guys out at all?
yes, well, actually, more or less, because it depends. Of course, in a situation like that, there's always some classes which are um, more in which have more difficulties in living and stuff. Because, for example, there's like a special crisis welfare system that they build up in these days. So, like, I actually had to stop working for a half month because my contract was expiring like today, actually. Anyway, so but for
welcome
the
to unemployment.
yeah. Woo! Actually, I already have signed a contract for the next month,
Oh, good.
for the summer. But in I will have some welfare, a lot of complicated words I can't say in English. But the welfare system now it's helping me with sustainment, passing through the 2 weeks I was not working because
Yeah,
I had first to expire all of the holidays. I had to like a bonus with holidays
right.
and all of those stuff, and then with this one.
And
But
is the
there's
what's up?
some classes um, which are not touched by this welfare system, like black workers. They from a day to the other, they maybe they fabric has closed or something like that. They're not receiving money at all. So
What is black workers? What is that?
people who works black paid.
Oh, like under the table, like we say
Yeah.
here, under the table money.
You say under the table. Okay,
Yeah, I
we say
know.
black paid.
Yeah, we say in South America they say plata negro, the same, like
Yeah.
black money. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the government's helping a bit, and are people able to have companies? A lot of them gone remote. Are they able to make the
Yes.
transition to
My
working from home?
my father is a perfect example because I mean, for the people who for the jobs in which it's possible doing this,
Hmm.
the smart working is doing since quite a lot. Because my father lives in Milano, he's smart working, I guess, nearly a month already.
Right.
So yeah, because but he's living in a like he's a programmer, so he was
Oh, cool.
actually a bit doing smart working even before. Like for
My brother said the same thing. My brother, we just jumped on like a family call the other day, last, I
yeah,
guess, Sunday, 2 days ago. And he said the same thing. Everyone's like, oh, we've been remote now for a month. My brother's like, yeah, I've been remote now for about 11 months. And, I'm starting to think my company had something to do with it because they put me on remote like they knew it was coming.
well,
I'm like, Chris, I might need to speak to your company. That's good. I think they're onto something here.
yeah. But for example, I was a sailor. I was selling stuff for a company,
Salesman,
so salesman, yeah.
salesman. There
So
you go.
I I can't do it like on webcam. I don't know how to say.
Don't never
Some
say
job,
you can't. Never say you can't. My friend is his name's Hamza. He'll be on the show also, but he is from France, or he's from Morocco, lived in France for 18 years, 20 years, and he flew to Morocco on a Thursday, the Thursday before Morocco shut the borders, right? And he's a salesperson. He works for Slim Pay, and shout out to Hamza for this. But he asked me, what's a website that's like Badu or whatever, and I gave him some American website, whatever, and he's just been on LinkedIn, kind of trolling LinkedIn, I would say, but he closed the deal. It was in the top 10 top 10 biggest deals in the company in Slim Pay. If you know what Slim Pay is, they're like a
No, I have no
platform.
idea.
They're a platform for. They're kind of like a PayPal, but for major corporations, right? So major
Okay.
transactions
Okay.
between companies. Yeah, he closed a deal like a 1 month sales cycle. He like it was supposed to be probably like a year-long sales cycle. He closed it in like a month during this time
Crazy.
of quarantine. But it's kind of interesting, right? Because um, people are a lot more susceptible now during a crisis like this, you know.
Yeah.
They're a lot more open, a lot more understanding, a lot more friendly, because we crave interactions, and people aren't necessarily getting the normal interactions they've had throughout their whole lives. So they're more susceptible to someone messaging them saying, hey, what's going on? I noticed this, I noticed that, how could I help? You know, by the way, stay safe, you
Yeah.
know, stay this,
Yeah.
stay
By the
that.
way,
So it's kind of like
yeah.
we all have this ability now to bond. So
Yeah,
um
I truly feel that this thing is changing a lot of people's minds. Like as a crisis, I don't know. Like I've seen this culture, like this world entirely a bit too much still. You know what I
like
mean?
stagnant, like not moving.
Stagnant. Exactly. I was
Yeah.
searching for that word, stagnant. And I think something like this. I mean, for all the bad things that can happen after a crisis, there's always a rise, you know,
Yeah.
and it is doing a lot in people way of seeing the world after a crisis. So maybe.
Yeah, I hope everyone's coming closer together. You know, that's one of the goals of this series as well, to have strength in numbers, to kind of have an outlet to show vulnerability and to talk about what's going on, because we're all in this together. There's no pointing fingers, really. Like, yes, it happened, so what? Now what do we do? Are we going to look in the past and say, hey, it's your fault for doing this? You know, no, like we have no choice but to stick together, to support each other, to help. And shout out to China, actually, you know, not for what happened, but for sending over ventilators and helping out. I think I heard that China has sent Italy some care packages as well, right? Like
I
ventilators, and
yeah.
maybe workers, having some volunteer workers that have.
Yes, we had volunteers from Cuba and from Albania and from China as well. The first experts arrived from China, and now we have extra doctors coming from Cuba and from Albania. Yeah.
And are these
Um,
people that have been infected before that are here now so that they're able to work hands-on with patients, or are these just experts on the virus to help with research and stuff?
I think in the case of China, but this is a personal opinion. I think in the case of China, it's like um, experts with an experience that came here to help us for I don't know which reason exactly, but in the case of Cuba, I was discussing with my father yesterday about that. The case of Cuba and Albania, they have the opportunity to have their doctors doing some experience on the place in which the thing is really going on. So
Uh,
they are way much more prepared when the thing is coming back in their country.
oh,
So
so
it's
they're
like
there. I see. They're there as kind of to see what this virus is capable of, right? So they're able to go back home and say, "Yo, we need to prepare ourselves for what's going to happen, and this is how
yeah,
Italy's preparing themselves. So this is how we should strategize, more or less, to prepare themselves.
yeah,
This is what Albania is also doing, I'm assuming, right?
yeah. I mean, I repeat, this is a personal opinion. I mean,
Right,
but I
right,
think
right.
it's like this. I mean, for probably also like I'm not saying okay, maybe Cuban doctors are paid way much more for doing something like that. But I think the main reason is it's this. It's like a pandemic internship for doctors.
which is
Um,
invaluable. This is, I mean, it's going to be there eventually, as we talked about. You can't just assume that it's not going to come to your country. So,
yeah, I don't know if there's any doctors who went to China during the beginning of the pandemic, but I guess no. I mean, it would have been, I mean, good if some of our doctors have been there to do the same, actually, to make some
right,
experience.
right.
But
So
as I
they're
told
ready for this.
you, yeah, it's never a thing until it's a thing, you
Yeah,
know?
we talked about that, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's funny because I mean, none of this whatsoever is funny, but the perception of what's real and what's not is kind of
yeah,
interesting, right? Like the same thing for us. We're looking over at China, like, hey, oh, it's in China, whatever. Okay, oh, it's in Italy, whatever. It's in Germany, whatever. It's in Spain, whatever. Uh-oh, we got the first case here. Oh, it's just on
yeah.
the East Coast in New
Zero,
York, whatever.
0.0.
Oh, it's here, whatever. Oh, it's there. And then finally, it's like, oh man, it's here. I had a friend who,
Yeah,
like, and then my sister got, or whatever. Like, I mean, she didn't, thankfully, but I mean, it's like it's not really a thing until you're personally affected by it, and it didn't really strike. Um, I mean, I've been doing this social distancing. I have trying to been stock up for the last 3 weeks. Actually, I've been not leaving the house because I had a feeling it was coming and it was going to come in full strength. But there was recently a guy who passed away here, the second reported death here in California, was a guy, Jeff, who went to my high school. So he graduated 2 years or 4 years before me. I didn't know him, and his sister was a nurse, and thank God for her. She's so incredible. She posted some really incredible stories about what was happening, and he was so brave in saying, "I want everyone to know what is going on." So she was constantly on Facebook updating the community about what he's going through and what's happening with him. But 34 years old, went to my school. So that's kind of the process. Is like, oh, it's China, whatever, it's Italy, whatever. Oh shoot, it's here. Oh shit, a friend that I went to
how
school, a guy that I went to school with
how
has it. Huh?
how are the data now in California?
How are the what?
The data, the general data, I don't know how many cases,
Uh,
deaths, and
I'll pull it up right now. I think it's I'm just in California, you mean, or
yeah.
in um
No, how many inhabitants has California?
40 million.
40 million.
Yeah, that's how many inhabitants we have. I'm just gonna say the US statistic right now as for worldometer.info. I'll put that in the description below. But it's kind of updating on the world pandemic and following. So we're having an average of like 15,000 new cases per day. Right now it's at just today, starting at like 6 a.m. Eastern time. And right now it's only 9:50. We're at 11,881 new cases just today. Italy is at 4,000, which is good. I think that number has been
Yeah,
going down a little
yeah,
bit.
we
And
are going down actually, fortunately, because
good
in the
job. Good
first
job.
moment,
Seriously. Absolutely
I
incredible
mean,
job.
thank you. Uh, there was a
Stop stop
first moment.
stop running through the woods or we'll come find you, you know.
You bastard. No, apart from that, I like at the moment there was a moment in which it was like the number of deaths were actually going a bit down, but then after 2 days we had like 300 or 400 deaths.
Hmm.
Then it rose up again, and we reached the peak of 950 more or less
Whoa.
death in one single day. And in that days, more or less 800 people per day are dying.
And what do you
And
think about
here,
these statistics? Do you think they're you were telling me the other day that you're not sure even if that's
yeah,
correct. Like you think that it's even
I'm
higher
not
than
sure
it
if
is.
that's correct because of all of this I just said. Like the virus here was here way much more before. So what the the one that people call the patient one,
Right.
because they didn't even find a patient zero, of course. But that was probably the patient 300, maybe, or maybe more, because data are, it's likely the corona came in between December and January. And
Right.
we had the first case discovered on February, like middle February or something like that. And so at that point, the virus was already spread all around the world. And the second reason, the way, how do you call it? The stick you put in the nose and in the mouth. How do you call it?
We call this like a swab stick, but are you talking about
Yeah.
the machine they're using to test?
No, the test itself, the
Yeah.
swab stick. Okay.
Hmm.
So the swab sticks, it can't be done. So the government already declared it. It can't be done to everyone because they say, because it's, you can't, we can do to everybody because the next day someone who's not infected could be infected. So
Right.
it makes not so much sense.
To waste these
And
test kits,
so,
kind of.
yeah.
Yeah.
So for what I know, there's a lot of asymptomatic persons in Italy and people which are not detected simply. I could
Right.
have the virus myself and I don't know it. So for what I know, I could had it and nothing happened, or
Yeah.
maybe not. This is the point more or less.
Yeah,
Like you.
we talked about that in with Mike, right? Is like some people, and a lot of times children, they won't even show symptoms. They won't get a fever, they won't get the cough, they won't get anything, but they'll come home and they'll spread it.
Yeah.
And this is a scary thing. So what's
Yeah.
Italy doing as far as testing? And what I wanted to get at was, are these numbers, right? So they're obviously testing, but they're also like us, they don't have enough test kits. So
Okay.
are these numbers that you're seeing, as far that we're seeing on Worldometer and that you guys are getting in the news, do you think these numbers are accurate, or do you think there's like a lot more people getting
Okay.
it, and do
The
you think a lot more
number
people are
of,
dying actually?
well, dying, well, actually, this is what I was trying to say. The number of actually, like the new cases, this number is not accurate. They already, like the headquarters of the sanitary system, like the medical headquarters, which
Right.
are recording this data, already said that it's likely 5 times more the
Five
new
times.
cases. They said more or less. I heard it
Wow.
in an interview. Like it should be, but of
Wow.
course nobody knows. It's just
A
how do you say,
speculation.
speculation, right? It's
Yeah.
just a speculation. And the number which can really take, like, which you can really trust, is the number of death people related with coronavirus.
Right.
So the number of people who dies, and then you have to multiply the number of those people for the percentage of the death rate that the virus has, and then you have more or less the number of the real
Real
cases. This is
cases.
what those guys I saw in the interview, this is what they're done. Because if you multiply this, you have a way much bigger number than the number that here you see on of the new cases
Can
recorded.
you send me that link or the interview that you're talking about? Because my brother and I, mostly my brother, if we're being honest, he's also a programmer. So he said the same thing actually a couple weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago. He said, the real numbers we don't have. How many people are actually getting it? We don't have. The only real number that we have, more or less, are deaths. And he said, even then,
Yeah,
that's not the real number, because you have people dying where they're saying at the beginning, for example, oh, it's pneumonia,
yeah.
or hey, it's this, hey,
Some
it's that.
some people happen that dies at home with the
Yeah.
coronavirus and no one knows it. I
And
mean,
they're probably so overwhelmed at the morgue and all these other places that they don't even have time to do autopsies and figure out exactly what it was. So, I mean, but more or less, the most accurate number we have, right,
accurate, yeah,
are the deaths. And my brother said the same thing. He did like this reverse, the reverse calculation of how many
yeah,
cases there actually were, and he was saying like it's like at least 5 times more than
yeah,
what you're
yeah.
seeing on the news or whatever. So
Between if I remember right, they say between 5 and 10 times more.
you got to
But
send me that. You got to send me that link
yeah,
when you get a
I have
chance.
to find it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's in Italian. I mean,
Yeah, but if they have an
maybe
equation, numbers don't lie. So if they have an equation
yeah,
written
numbers don't
down,
lie.
if they have an
Yeah, so
equation
we have
written down, that'd be nice.
yeah. So the point is like guy we have 11,591 cases. This is the last time I checked.
Right.
Death. I mean,
Deaths. Wow.
11,500 deaths. So if it's true that the 0.8% of the population is it's dying because of the coronavirus,
Right.
how is it possible that we have, like, I don't remember, 100,000 cases?
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
something is not working. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to remember these are also 100,000. I think Italy just joined one of the worst clubs to ever join, the 100,000 club, where you have 100,000 confirmed cases. But these are confirmed cases, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that these are the cases that are
No,
actually out there.
well, actually, we have 75,000 people actually infected, and the total are 100,000.
Yeah, as far as like ones released and ones that have,
And
yeah,
the one that
right.
unfortunately died.
Oof. So what's everyone doing there as a community? Well, what's everyone doing to help? I know we talked about somehow someone needs to develop some database of
Yeah,
people that have recovered have already been tested and known to have the virus. Someone
yeah,
needs to somehow develop a database of that and then be able to contact them and ask them if they're willing to help with the
help
virus,
the
because the
community.
fact that they're immune now or have the antibodies to fight this
Yeah,
virus can really help, and at least they can be the ones that are limiting the interactions between the nurses and the doctors that haven't had it yet. They're able to be there and limit the interactions, at least between them, to at least protect them a little bit. Is there
yeah.
anything like that happening in the community? Is anyone working on that
Well,
you know of?
actually, not at the moment. I mean, the community, like, you can now there's some groups like on websites and stuff, like in town, where you can join and apply for, like, going to the grocery shopping to buy food for old people, food that is bringed to another place, it sanitized, and then has distribution to the other places. So
Oh,
mainly,
fantastic.
I'm not pretty sure, but this thing is like pretty embryonic, embryonal.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just
it's just the
started.
beginning. It's just the beginning, but something is moving actually, and this is really really cool stuff. And second reason, what you told about the antibodies and the immune, that somebody can be immune from the virus. The main reason why I think no one is already taking part in a project like that, the one you described about helping the communities, is like, I guess the data are not enough reliable yet
Right.
to make. I mean, let's say they make the stick thing, okay, I'm not positive, but what if I'm a false negative?
Yeah,
Then I
exactly.
just myself, I just go to grocery shopping and I'm gonna kill this old woman, that old woman, and one I'm bringing the food to.
Or even the opposite case. Imagine if you were a false positive and they take
Yeah,
you to the hospital and then you catch it in the hospital.
yeah, that's another point. That
Yeah,
many doctors, there's a like I've seen, what do you say? Like one of those uncomfortable kind of documentaries,
mm.
like Michael Moore starred. You know,
Like
Michael
which
Moore
one?
style. Michael Moore.
Oh yeah, right, like
You
conspiracy
know,
kind of. Yeah,
yeah, but not like about that. It was like they were just going around to investigate on how's the things are working in here, and a lot of doctors says that they are the process that like the things that people or put it in the same waiting room to discover if they are or they are not
right.
positive during the test, like inside the hospitals. This is endangering a lot because if I think I'm positive, let's say, they bring me into the room with all the other people, and then one or some of them are positive, then we are just waiting, all everybody in the same room. I became positive even if I was not.
Exactly.
So for this reason, I've seen this doctor who just broke the rule and told, because he have seen a patient before and says, listen, I don't think that you have the coronavirus. We make the test, but you two, because there were two people, I guess,
Mm.
you two wait in this separate room. It turns out they were negative. And if they had to wait in the same room with the others, they for sure became positive in the day
Right,
after.
right.
Uh,
So
like another thing is like here, one of the first advices, I don't know if it's the same in the United States, it's like don't go to the hospital because, yeah. No,
I'm supposed to have a checkup
but
every
but
month, and
let's
I told
say
my doctor like, hey, if I don't need to, I'll keep my
I'm just,
I'll
yeah,
keep my cast. I don't care if it smells whatever. If I don't need to come, I don't want to. I don't want to come.
yeah, but also like the one of the biggest spread, like how do you say when the virus is spreading in a small place? How do you call it?
One of the biggest like spread factors, maybe, or
Yeah,
like
spread factors are hospital. Okay, so the now we have the most critical situations here are like in Bergamo, in Milano, and I guess the third one was Parma, but I'm not
Palermo.
sure about the third one. Parma,
Oh,
Parma.
Parma.
Both cities in the north.
Yeah.
But, or I don't remember if it was Parma or Piacenza,
Wait, isn't Parma?
but
Isn't this near the Leaning Tower of Pisa? Or no?
yeah,
In Parma.
yeah,
Yeah.
more or less, yeah. But let's say, okay, these are the worst cases there happen like because a sick patient went inside the hospital and no one knew it. And when they discovered it was too late. And another problem about reaching the highest number, like this high number of people getting infected, is that um, the medical doctors and the sanitary um, workers are getting infected as well.
Right.
A lot of them are dying as well.
Speaking of that, you mentioned something the other day when we touched base like a week ago or whatever about a doctor. How old was the uh some of the youngest infected cases that of doctors in Italy?
I am not sure 100%, but I like 35, 40.
These are people getting infected in the hospital.
Yeah, there's people. Yeah, yeah, and there's people of really like they started saying, okay, the risk level is 70 years old. Then after 1 week, they says the risk level is 60 years old.
Mm.
Then after 1 week more, they says, okay, the risk level is 50 years old. I mean,
I told you if you listen to with my brother, there was a statistic from New York a few days ago, like the beginning of last week, I guess Friday last week. So 4 days ago, that in New York, 26% of the patients in critical care were between 18 and 49 years old. So
yeah, I heard it.
they weren't
Heard it.
even in the range. They were under 50, you know? And
Yeah,
these are critical conditions, and these people, as we mentioned as well, are going to have lifelong respiratory issues now because of this infection. So,
I heard from the research about the obesity and the problem
uh-huh.
related to coronavirus, because did he said something like the virus is spreading? It's like spreading within a fat molecules of
Yeah,
fat.
the some of the molecules that it needs to
To
start
do the yeah
to
to
start its
start the
process
chain.
are these fatty kinds of molecules. Yeah, I forgot the endothelial molecule, I think he used, is the name of it. But yeah, it needs to infect these kinds of things. So this would help with the manufacturing of virus cells. So this is how the virus would start to multiply a lot quicker, which is one of the biggest concerns about obviously America and obese countries in general, are these factors of the amount of fatty molecules that you have in your body.
Hmm.
Not a lot of countries have information, not just on the obesity issue and coronavirus, but not a lot of people have information on this virus anyways. It's a novel virus, and we're all kind of just having a guessing game, right? Until we get enough
Yeah,
information on it. And this is
true.
not something that you want to risk. Uh, do your part, I guess, is the biggest thing. Stay inside, save lives, listen to examples of people like you, Davide,
Yeah,
and stay inside, listen to other countries, because we're not sure what's going to happen. And this virus isn't like you live, if you're 60 years and under, don't worry, you'll live. It's not like that. I mean, the guy here who died was 34 years old. So I mean, when this thing has your number, it has your number. And furthermore, it has long-term effects. Whether you die or you don't die, your lungs suffer severely through something like this. And yes, your lungs, like any part in your body, starts to repair itself, but it'll have scarring, and it'll inhibit the way that your body distributes oxygen. So you might have long-term effects from this, even if you do survive. Even if it wasn't, in your opinion, a big deal, it could
true.
still have long-term effects. So what are you guys
There's
doing? What are you doing yourself? What are you doing yourself for
me.
isolation? Yeah, what are you
Well,
doing?
actually,
You're playing music. You want to play us a song or what?
I don't know. Like, okay, maybe I can show you what I'm working on lately. But yeah, mainly I had to transport because since my father is doing smart working, he have stolen my studio. So actually, this is my bedroom, as you can see.
Nice.
And yeah, I brought all this stuff here, and now I have. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I have a little bit like my home studio built
I
in
like
my
that poster you got there. No more
which
smoking, no more smoking weed, right? You gotta. This is a virus infects your respiratory system, so.
which one?
The Bob Marley picture.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but it's one of the because here I'm collecting stuff since I was 13 years old, I guess.
Right.
And who didn't have their Bob Marley era in their life, let's
Hey,
say.
turn the camera a little bit more onto yourself. I can barely see you. Ah, there we go.
I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So what's how are you staying in contact with your friends? Are you guys Skyping or
Well,
talking or on the
yeah,
phone?
a lot of Skyping and like conferences with internet. Like technology is helping a lot.
Mm.
So even for your head, I mean, I
Yeah.
can understand like in a situation like this, I can't even imagine someone being in a house alone without any possibility to talk with anybody. I would probably become mental in 1 week, I guess.
It's like one of two things happens. You either go insane and become mental, or you become a professional guitar player or something, you know, one or the
That's
other.
true. Because yeah, myself like music, it's taking me busy.
Hmm.
I'm building up this project. I thought about that because so basically, as I have a bit of knowledge in um, like let's say music recording and editing, and video editing and post production. So basically, I'm doing this project with some friends, and like I'm cooperating. Like the the mission would be to cooperate with people all around the world, and we're making music online. So basically, I'm the guy which is staying on the computer. I play the part, do the arrangement, then the other sends me their part with the video, and then I mount everything up and I
Ah, super
did
fun.
I did 3 videos. I don't know if did you see something of those?
No, 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 but send them to me, or send me your link or your Facebook or Instagram of wherever you're posting these things, and let me know.
I'm posting on YouTube and Instagram, so I can send you the link on YouTube
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
post the Instagram.
if you subscribe here, I'll have your name, and then I'll post it in the
I
comment
already
section
did,
below.
I guess.
Oh yeah? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll put it
Yeah.
in the comment section. Just send that to me, and send me a couple more of those photos, because Davide sent me a photo a few days ago about him shopping at the supermarket, which is
Oh
really
yeah.
I gotta
How
show
big
people this.
thing in the United States? Because I mean, I have some friends in the US, and so I'm sometimes looking on the Insta stories and stuff like that. I mean, they are doing social distancing, but they're way much more like flexi, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like a recommendation. It's not a rule here, more or less.
Like here, it became like you don't go out without a mask. And if you do it, I mean, I'm going out once a week, and actually, I don't know if saying that I'm a bit happy that there's this long queue outside of the supermarket because I can stay out a bit more. I don't know. I just, it was quite funny. First time I was like, fuck, 3 hours and a half queue just to get inside the mini market in town. This is
Right.
crazy. Then the second time was like, well, I kind of happy like that. So I brought just a book and earplug, and I was like on the queue with the cart and stuff, and reading a book and listening to music. I had some 3 spectacular hours. This is um, like
You had to
going
wait
to the
3 hours, you
supermarket.
said. It was 3 hours waiting in line.
Yeah,
What?
before that. Sure.
What the
There's like
heck?
this long queue because they don't let a lot of people stay at the same time inside the market.
Oh, right.
So there's a guy on the front door, and he just let one person gets in every time a person gets out.
Got you. And
And
are you guys running out of toilet paper too, or how's that working?
no, these things I've seen it. It's quite crazy. I mean,
Man,
I
there was
don't
so
know.
many people like, how am I gonna wipe my ass now? I have no toilet paper. These people are dicks. They're taking all the toilet paper.
Hey,
I'm like, dude.
dude, I'm gonna tell you something. We have a sink, a special sink to wash our ass. So
Nice.
even in case we don't need toilet papers actually,
Yeah,
because in
my
every bathroom there's like a small sink which is like this this high,
how do you
and
call it?
you
You call
sit
it
on it
a
and you wash
bidet.
your ass.
A
Huh?
bidet. A bidet. How do you say it?
Yeah,
It's
bidet,
a bidet.
bidet, bidet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So this is the reason we didn't have this toilet paper crisis, I guess,
My
because we
brother
all have to.
my brother told me something, Chris, my older brother, not the one from the video the other day. But he's like, yeah, I don't know why people had all this issue with toilet paper. He's like, he's like, I had a conversation with one of my friends, Bill, and a long time ago, and it really changed my perspective on toilet paper. And I'm like, yeah, what's that? I'm like, what's that? And he says, well, when you get dog shit on your shoe, do you just rub it with a little bit of paper and then walk around your house?
No.
He's like, yeah, well, what do you think? You poop and you wipe your butt with toilet paper. You really think you're clean? He's like, you should probably take a shower. So it's
That's the
good.
point.
It's good. It's good that they
That's
have
the
these
point.
bidets. Maybe we need to stop bitching about toilet paper and go get some bidets,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, true. But I like sometimes. I mean, I never been to the States actually. Well, physically, I've been there once, but just for a flight connection in Miami. But is it really like how is these things of the bidet is working? I mean, how do you actually wash your ass if the things are, let's say, too hard to clean?
Man, we use toilet paper. Literally, we just use a piece of
That's all.
paper.
Like
Yeah, we use a
one
piece of
tons of
paper,
toilet.
bunch of
Yeah, but
paper. We use big rolls of white toilet paper. You wipe just like if you go to the club, like it's primitive. We wipe, and then later on in the afternoon you go on a date and you go hang out with people. Like you don't even clean yourself properly, and then you go on a date, or you go to the bathroom on a
yeah,
date and then you go. And what happens if you go home and you end up having sex or something? You're like, this is like uncomfortable. It's weird, you know, like it's not, you're not clean actually. You know, it's a good example. Do you clean your shoe with a piece of toilet paper? Do you wash it off like with a hose and like really clean it, you know?
yeah,
So I don't
true.
know. I
So
think
people do care a lot more of their shoes than their ass. So this
yeah,
is the point.
apparently that's the point. Yeah. That's the
Okay.
point.
So we didn't have this issue with the toilet paper here. We had the issue in the beginning with the food
Right.
mainly, but it was not like I mean, when I go to the supermarket and do shopping now, I there's nothing which is really missing. It's not like in a first moment we had this kind of scenes, apocalypse scenes where you have all the things empty, the food
Sure.
reserve in the supermarket empties and stuff. But now it's not anymore like this. There's a possibility that you go there, you're searching for something, and this thing is finished. But I mean, I don't see any reason to complain for that. I mean, we are under one of the worst crises after the World War II.
Yeah.
So I don't give a shit if I don't find my favorite biscuits for breakfast when I'm doing shopping. You
So
know what I mean?
is this how they're comparing it as well? Are people in Italy also saying that this is one of the biggest disasters since World War II, or since the influenza epidemic in 1918.
Yeah, we mainly compare it with the World War II
Wow.
crisis. I mean, we don't compare, but we say it's we never had something like that since the World War II.
Right.
So in the middle, nothing really serious happened, and this is the first one. They stopped the Olympics games.
Yeah. My friend from Japan came and visited me, and I took him to Venice Beach, and I was telling him this was in January, and I was telling him, man, I'm gonna buy a ticket to Japan pretty soon, and I'm gonna come and stay
Yeah,
with you in Tokyo. I'll have him on this show as well pretty soon. He's got a family and kids now, but I told him, yeah, I'm going to come to Tokyo. My friend Hakeem and I were going to go there, and we're going to watch the basketball game, and we're going to go see all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, do it for sure. And I was so close. I think I was going to go see Hakeem like the next week and buy our tickets. And then this whole thing started happening. And then my brother, obviously, who's the virologist, he's like, you guys better be careful. He's like, I've never seen a virus that acts like this one. The
yeah,
problem is, right, you have the 5 day incubation period where you're still contagious. So before you're even having symptoms, you're contagious. So he said this R naught, he called it, right? Like the ability to infect people around you is so high because it takes 5 days for this thing to show symptoms, but you're
yeah,
contagious for 3 of the 5. So you're spreading it around all everywhere before you even have symptoms. So he said, this is so incredible, this virus. He said, just be careful, watch it closely. And after he said that, I didn't buy my ticket. But yeah, like you said, it canceled the Olympics completely, or they say postponed the Olympics.
yeah. 1 year, they said,
Yeah. So,
but they these things never happened since the World War II.
right.
So this is a good, let's say, data to say how big this thing is.
So do you have a warning? Do you want to give the people in the
Yes,
States or anywhere in South America or wherever that haven't really truly been affected like you guys have in Italy? Do you have any recommendations or a warning? Do you want us to take it seriously?
yes.
What do you think?
I wished I had somebody in my place, like back in the days, telling me this. So guys, just stay at home. Uh, please move as less as possible. This virus is really it's really a big thing. Okay, people are dying, and here we are facing a serious crisis. And I just, for the goods of you and your parents and anyone you take care of, just stay home and don't move. Move as less as possible just for buying food and the essential, and stay in the house. There's internet, a lot of technology and stuff. You can spend your time quite good. You can still talk and meet your friends, girlfriends, and mothers and stuff by using internet. It's little things that you have to do now for a big advantage in the future.
Right.
That's it.
All right, Davide, thank you so much for your insight, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for hosting me.
Good luck over there, and tell all your friends that work in the hospital, thank you. They're the real heroes. They're the
Yeah,
soldiers on the front line of this war. So we really
forgot to
appreciate
say
all
that.
that. Yeah, we really appreciate all that and appreciate all the
Yeah,
insight we have from you. So yeah, good luck. Stay safe. I'm really happy that you're with your family and your dad's taking it seriously and all that stuff. So thank you so much.
thank you, Dave. Hope to see you soon.
Yes, sir.